Welcome to Indie Depth, the show where we go in depth with independent filmmakers about the filmmaking process. I'm your host, Andrew Froning, and today on my show I have award-winning visual effects artist, producer, director, writer, Robin Hunt. Welcome to the show.
Hi, nice to talk to you.
Yeah, so Robin and I have worked together from time to time on different projects, whether I'll shoot for you or we'll write something and we'll bounce it back and forth between each other, and it's a good working relationship.
Yeah, I'd say so too. I'd like to put a shout out to Jennifer Hip. Thank you for introducing us because it's been real good.
Thanks, Jen. So yeah, it's all about like meeting people and meeting people through other people. Sometimes you can be in the same circles with similar people and never meet. So it's nice when you're actually able to. So it was actually, the award was for both of us together because we both worked on visual effects for the Connection web series.
Right.
And we won Best Visual Effects. It was earlier this year, but I think it was still titled like 2019 for whatever reason. But let's talk about visual effects because that's so collaborative, and especially if you're working with multiple people, it can be it can be a task to get everyone on the same page and to get everything working.
Yeah, well, my first interest in visual effects came from the fact that, like in indie film, we don't exactly have the same resources that, say, a big budget Hollywood production has. So I think in a lot of ways, if we can get, I'm far from an expert at this, but in a lot of ways, if we can like do something and, at least, and when I say special effects, I mean especially in things like set extension. And what I mean by that is, for instance, say, we're going to shoot something, we want to shoot it in Central Park. Now, for an indie production, no budget to low budget production, unless we go into Central Park in New York City with an iPhone and try some real guerrilla stuff, you're really not going to be able to do that. By the same token, you can go somewhere like Veterans Park, for instance. And if you're taking a long shot of the park and say you had composited the New York City skyline in the background above the trees, ergo, you've got Central Park. And it's enough of a recognizable skyline that most people watching the film will be able to see it. So, that's the kind of thing where my interest really in visual effects comes into play, to be able to take something we do to the next level or get a shot that we normally would not be able to get.
Yeah, and I mean it takes a little extra time, it takes a little more elbow grease, but you can achieve that. And making it look real is a little tricky in itself. It's another art form.
Oh yeah, that definitely. I mean, for those people who've dealt with it before, things like tracking, motion match moving to be able to get the camera and your effect and everything to move at the same time. And then especially, and this is something where you're probably much more of an expert on, it's just like the color correction, getting the color and lighting in your composited effect to match what you actually have out there.
Yeah, you have to match to your camera, to your exposure settings, to the colors, um, your black balance, your gray balance, your white balance,
Right.
the grain in the shot.
I mean, one of the things that I've just, like learned lately to be able to do, say, you know, if we were out on a set and we want to get in an outdoor shot where we want to have some CGI object placed inside of it, one of the things to do is, I mean, and this you can a lot of times do with your, like iPhone, is to take like a 360 HDRI shot of the whole area. And like when you get into your compositing program or get into your 3D program, to use that actually to drive the lighting.
Yeah.
And what,
Okay. Yeah, I haven't even played around with that, but that's what the big dogs do.
yeah, and I mean, it's something that's like, that is really not hard to do on, like on an indie level, and it can make all the difference in the world because you can match your lighting and colors almost exactly.
Yeah, all these things are becoming more and more accessible. I know photogrammetry, shooting, just with a high quality camera going around an object, you can now create a 3D image of that
Right,
object, and indie filmmakers are making use of that, which is just it was just unheard of 5 years ago.
exactly. And the most amazing thing in the world just now, Unreal Engine, which is the engine that drives a lot of video games. They've just taken things to the next level by having developed ways to make like a photorealistic kind of background, a photo, like all kinds of photorealistic things in your background, and be able to do it with less. I don't even understand completely what they're doing, but it takes, it cuts down on the amount of polygons that you use. And they have a new lighting system inside of there. And a lot of filmmakers are starting to use this because you get real-time feedback. I mean,
Okay.
one of the places that's using it for anybody who's ever watched The Mandalorian, I mean, they use gigantic LED screens and they basically essentially put, the camera can go on with it and they use the Unreal Engine. And there's somebody back there that can basically move things around and they can go from night to day like that. And like a lot of the lighting is just driven from what's coming out of these high, these basically high definition HD screens. And I mean, again, and here again, the beauty part of it is Unreal Engine, you can basically download for free and use it. And the only time that they will ever look for, money from you is if you use it in production or use it in game.
Hmm.
But the beauty part for that is somebody who's learning and wants to really learn the system, you can download it, you can do it, and you can basically, save your projects without any kind of limitations on them to really learn the system.
Wow.
And like I said, I think that's a real game changer for everyone.
For sure, especially with the way everything is going. The Mandalorian, and to where that started with some of the later Star Wars movies where they were using that technology um, to light cockpits of spaceships, and now
Right.
they're just lighting backgrounds. It's almost a replacement for green screen. It's visual effects done on the set.
Oh,
It's
exactly.
almost like an audio engineer behind the scenes of a band.
Right. And I mean, it's great for the actors, to be able to actually react to something that's really there. And, it's great for the director because, you get your shot out there one time. Okay, we're going to go shoot the night scene. The guy presses a button, suddenly your background is like moonlit and
Well, you can
night.
shoot sundown all day long.
Exactly. Exactly. You're not limited to that, golden hour at night or sundown in the morning. And like I said, it is a complete and total game changer. And I think, having acted myself for the actors involved, it's so much better than green screen to be able to react to something that's really there. I mean, I've been seeing like in a lot of those space, like in The Mandalorian, and this is something that we were doing in the new Star Wars films, they have the set where they have basically the ship on hydraulics and you have this background set up so the actors flying the ships are actually can see it and move with it. And I really do think that helps with your performance tremendously.
Yeah, it's just like another extension. It can really put you in that world to the point where you may not be acting.
Exactly. I'd probably be throwing up, but